Have you ever had one of those mornings where you wake up feeling just a little more tired than usual? Maybe your joints ache a bit more, your energy isn't quite there, and even small tasks feel like a mountain to climb. You think, maybe it's just aging, and move on. But deep down, something nags at you. Does it really have to be this way? If you're over 60, or love someone who is, you've probably asked this question more than once. And the truth is, not everyone experiences aging the same way. Some people live well into their 90s, still walking every day, laughing with friends, full of stories and light. Others struggle just to make it to 80, their final years marked by loneliness, weakness, or feeling forgotten. You might assume it's all genetics, or just plain luck, or maybe they had a great doctor or a fancy diet. But those who work closely with the elderly, hospice nurses, caregivers, even researchers who study longevity, they see something different. They've noticed that it's not the big, obvious things that shorten our lives. It's the little habits, the hidden mistakes that sneak into our days without us even realizing. These mistakes don't hurt right away. In fact, most of them feel so small you wouldn't even notice them. But over time, they quietly wear down your body, your spirit, your will to thrive. And the good news? Once you know what they are, you can stop them. You can change them. You can give yourself the strongest, calmest, most peaceful years of your life, starting today. Let's begin with one of the most common and the most underestimated. It starts with something we all do. Something you're probably doing right now. Sitting. You might be thinking, what's wrong with sitting? I'm retired. I've earned the right to take it easy. And you absolutely have. But here's what no one tells you. Sitting more than you move can quietly rob you of the very health and freedom you worked so hard for. Most of us grew up thinking aging meant slowing down. But the body isn't built to sit still for long stretches of time, no matter how old you are. When you sit too much, your muscles weaken, your joints stiffen, and your circulation slows. Your brain can even feel duller, like it's not firing on all cylinders. And the trap is, the more you sit, the more tired you feel. The more tired you feel, the more you sit. It's a loop. And over time, that loop steals your energy, your balance, even your confidence to go outside or try new things. But here's the good news. You don't need to join a gym. You don't need to run marathons. You just need to move more than you sit. Get up every hour. Stretch while watching your favorite show. Stand up when you're on the phone. Walk around the kitchen while the coffee brews. These little moments add up. They tell your body, I'm still here. I'm still going. Don't shut down on me yet. You'd be amazed how just 5 extra minutes of movement every hour can slowly rebuild your strength, your energy, your zest for life. And that's not just a pep talk. It's what people who live well into their 90s tend to have in common. They keep moving. Not fast, not far, but consistently. Now let's talk about something you can't see in the mirror, but is just as important. Your mind. You see, one of the most dangerous mistakes seniors make doesn't involve the body at all. It's the decision, sometimes silent, sometimes unconscious, to mentally retire too early. You may have left your job. Maybe the career you worked so hard to build is now behind you. That chapter has closed. But here's the thing. Just because you stop working doesn't mean you should stop growing. Yet so many seniors do. They retire not just from the job, but from life, from curiosity, from learning, from discovery. Your brain is like a muscle. The moment you stop challenging it, it starts letting go. Memory slips a little. Focus gets harder. You start to feel foggy, disconnected. You chalk it up to age, but in many cases it's not age. It's atrophy, lack of use. The mind, just like the body, needs exercise. And it doesn't have to be hard or boring. In fact, it should be fun. Read a book on something you've never explored. Learn a new recipe that challenges your routine. Teach someone a skill you've mastered. Whether it's baking the perfect cornbread or fixing a squeaky door. Ask questions. Be curious. Watch a documentary. Take up a hobby that makes you think. Even puzzles, crosswords, or learning how to use that phone better. It all counts. Think about this. People who stay mentally sharp into their 80s and 90s almost always have one thing in common. They never believed their brain was done. They knew there was always more to learn, more to create, more to understand. And that belief alone can protect your mind better than any supplement or pill ever could. So here's what I want you to ask yourself today. When was the last time I learned something new just for me? If you can't remember, that's your sign. Not that it's too late, but that it's the perfect time to begin again. You see, the secret to a long and meaningful life isn't found in a hospital or a vitamin bottle. It's found in the small daily choices we make. Do we move or stay still? Do we grow or coast? Do we act like our life still matters? Because it does. Or do we start fading into the background? Now, before we move on, I want to remind you of something important. It's not your fault if these habits crept into your life. No one ever taught us this stuff when we were younger. No one said, "Hey, after 60, the rules change." But they do. And once we know the truth, we can change everything. Even if we're 70, 80, or beyond. Because aging isn't about losing. It's about choosing. Choosing to stay in the game. Choosing to wake up with purpose. Choosing to say, "My story isn't over yet." If you've ever found yourself eating the same meals you enjoyed in your 40s, thinking, "This worked for me then, so it should work now," you're not alone. It's such a common habit, one that feels harmless on the surface. But what if I told you that holding on to your old eating routines might be silently draining your energy, your mood, and even your health? See, here's the truth nobody told us when we crossed 60. Your body at 65 is not the same body you had at 45. It's not weaker or broken. It's just different. And it has different needs now. As we age, our digestion slows down. Our ability to absorb certain nutrients changes. Our metabolism isn't what it used to be. And yet so many seniors continue to eat like they did 20 years ago, without realizing that their body is quietly struggling to keep up. Too much salt, too much sugar, not enough hydration, skipping meals here and there. These little things can lead to big issues over time. Brain fog, bloating, joint pain, sudden drops in energy. Even serious conditions like high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes. Now, I know that changing eating habits isn't always easy. Food is emotional. Food is comfort. Sometimes it's one of the few things that still feels familiar. But here's the good news. You don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. You just have to begin listening to your body differently. Ask yourself, am I drinking enough water even when I'm not thirsty? Am I getting enough protein to help my muscles and bones stay strong? Am I eating foods that heal me, not just fill me? Start simple. Add a glass of water to your morning routine. Swap out processed snacks for something fresher. Try eating smaller meals more often, so your body doesn't get overwhelmed. And give yourself grace as you adjust. This isn't about perfection, it's about staying present with what your body is asking for now. You deserve to feel good in your own skin, at any age. And food can either help you get there, or slowly pull you away from it. You get to choose. Now let's shift gears and talk about something a little deeper. This one's emotional. And chances are, if you've ever thought to yourself, "I don't want to bother anyone," This next mistake might be quietly weighing on you more than you realize. A heartbreaking number of seniors suffer in silence, not because they have to, but because they don't want to feel like a burden. They keep their struggles to themselves. They don't ask for help even when they need it. They don't want to worry their children, their neighbors, their friends. But here's what I want you to hear loud and clear. You are not a burden. You are a blessing. And when you shut people out, when you keep everything bottled up, you're not protecting them. You're disconnecting from them. And that disconnection can be just as damaging as any illness or injury. Human beings need connection. It's not a luxury. It's a lifeline. Studies have shown time and time again that loneliness can be just as harmful to your health as smoking or obesity. It weakens the immune system, increases stress, even shortens lifespan. And yet, asking for help feels hard. I get it. Maybe you've always been the strong one. Maybe you were raised to keep things private. Maybe the idea of admitting you're struggling just feels wrong. But let me offer another way to see it. Asking for help is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's allowing others the chance to love you, to show up for you, to feel useful and needed. You're giving them a gift when you let them in. So call that friend. Say yes when your neighbor offers to pick up your groceries. Let your children know when you're feeling down. And most of all, talk. Share what's going on inside. Your fears, your joys, your memories, your pain. Let yourself be seen, because your life still matters. Your presence still matters. And allowing others to support you doesn't make you less independent. It makes you more human. And now, let's talk about something that might be the most powerful mistake of all. One that doesn't show up on test results or medical charts, but shows up in how we feel when we wake up each day. I'm talking about living without a reason to wake up. It's one of the most invisible dangers of aging, losing your sense of purpose. When the kids move out, when the job ends, when the daily routine dissolves, it's easy to fall into a kind of quiet drifting. You stop making plans. You stop looking forward to things. You stop expecting joy. And the body notices. Without purpose, we start to feel heavier, slower, older, not just physically, but emotionally. That spark dims, and eventually, the will to keep going begins to fade. But here's the beautiful truth. Purpose doesn't have to be big. It just has to be yours. It might be something as small as checking on a neighbor, watering your garden, writing a poem, cooking your favorite dish, saying a prayer for someone in need, teaching your grandchild how to play a song on the piano, fixing that old lamp in the garage. These may seem like small things, but they carry weight. They give shape to your day. They remind you that you still have something to give, something to enjoy, something to live for. You are not done just because the calendar says you're over 60 or 70 or 80. You are not just retired. You're evolving. You're shifting. And the world still needs what only you can offer. One of the most common traits in people who live past 90 is this. They always have something to look forward to, something to wake up for, something that tells them, today matters. So I want to ask you, what's your reason? What gives you that little glimmer of meaning when you open your eyes? If you don't know yet, that's okay. Start looking. Start trying. The search itself is part of the gift. Because the moment you have something, even one small thing, that lights up your heart, everything changes. There's a phrase I've heard so many times from older folks. And maybe you've said it too. It goes something like this. Well, at my age, it's too late to change. Maybe someone said it when their doctor told them to cut back on sugar, or when a friend suggested learning how to use a smartphone Or when their grandkids mention trying yoga or painting or even dating again, it sounds harmless. Logical even. But here's the truth. It's not just a phrase. It's a belief. And it might just be the most damaging belief of all. Because once you start believing it's too late to change, you stop trying. You stop growing. You stop showing up fully in your own life. And that belief starts shrinking your world. It tells you this is as good as it gets. And you start living like that's true. But I want to tell you something. Something I've seen with my own eyes and heard in the voices of people far older than you and me. It is never too late to change. I've met people in their 70s who reversed their diabetes after thinking they were stuck with it for life. I've seen folks in their 80s take up painting for the first time and create work more alive and beautiful than anything they made in their younger years. I've heard stories of widowers in their 90s falling in love again after thinking their hearts had closed forever. Change is always possible. Growth is always possible. And joy. It doesn't come with an expiration date. So why do we stop believing that? Sometimes it's because of how others treat us. They assume we're set in our ways. They stop offering us chances to try new things. They speak to us differently, as if we've passed a point of return. And sometimes it's our own inner voice, that little whisper that says, "What if I fail? What if I look silly? What if I don't know how?" But here's something powerful to remember. Trying something new doesn't have to be a public performance. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't even have to be good at it. You just have to begin. Want to eat better? Start with one meal. Want to move more? Begin with 5 minutes. Curious about a new hobby? Try a tutorial online. Interested in connecting with others? Make one phone call. Send one message. The moment you take that first small step, something shifts inside you. You prove to yourself that you're not stuck, that there's still possibility, still adventure, still life ahead. You may be retired from your career, but you're not retired from becoming. Now, let's take a breath together. Because if you've listened this far, you've already done something extraordinary. You've faced some hard truths. You've opened yourself up to reflection. Maybe you've even started to recognize some of these hidden mistakes in your own life. And that takes courage. It's not easy to look back and say, maybe I've been sitting too much. Or maybe I've let my brain get a little lazy. Or I don't really know what my purpose is anymore. These are not small things. These are the quiet choices that shape the quality of our final chapters. But here's the good news. None of this is about guilt. None of this is about regret. This is about now. What you do next. Because every day you wake up is another day you get to rewrite the story. You're still here. You're still in the game. And there is so much left to experience. So, let's take a moment to ground ourselves in everything we've talked about so far. We've explored how sitting too much can silently weaken the body, but how small, consistent movement can bring it back to life. We've seen how retiring your mind can lead to a slow fade, but that staying curious can keep your brain sharp and bright. We've learned that eating like you did at 40 might not serve you at 70, but that simple changes in hydration, protein, and awareness can turn things around. We've talked about the heartbreaking habit of staying silent, because you don't want to be a burden, and how connection, not isolation, is what actually heals. We've uncovered the pain of waking up without a reason, and how finding even one small purpose can reignite your spirit. And now we've named the most dangerous myth of all, that it's too late to change. You've carried these 6 truths with you, and maybe, just maybe, something is stirring inside. A little hope, a little voice that says, I can do this. I'm not done yet. And you're right. You're not. So where do you go from here? You don't need a big plan. You don't need to fix everything at once. You just need one moment of courage. One quiet promise to yourself that says, "Today, I choose to live." Maybe that means standing up during the next TV commercial and doing a slow stretch. Maybe it means calling someone you've been thinking about just to hear their voice. Maybe it means pouring a glass of water even if you're not thirsty. Maybe it means writing down a memory or a dream or something you want to try again. Whatever it is, it's enough. That's where life begins again, in the small, gentle decision to keep showing up. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, just remember this. You are not alone. Every single person over 60 has faced some version of these challenges. The aches, the doubts, the loneliness, the wondering if it's all downhill from here. But on the other side of all that is something beautiful. A life where you move with ease, where your mind feels sharp, where food gives you strength, where your relationships deepen, where your days feel meaningful, and where change doesn't scare you. It excites you. That kind of life is possible. And it's not too late. Not even close. So here's my invitation to you. Pick one thing from today's conversation. Just one. The one that tugged at your heart the most. The one that made you think, "That sounds like me." And do something small about it today. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. You're not just getting older. You're growing wiser, deeper, stronger. And with each day, you have a new chance to live. Not just longer, but better. If this conversation touched you in any way, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What spoke to you the most? What change are you ready to make? Or maybe you just want to share a memory or a story or a small victory. That's welcome too. And if you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a like. Subscribe to our channel, Strong Elderly Life, where we share more simple, uplifting, and practical insights to help you live fully at any age. You are needed. You are loved. And the best years of your life aren't behind you. They're waiting for you to step into them. Here's to living with strength, peace, and purpose. Here's to living your best life. After 60 and beyond.